weather girl.
That is perhaps the most snobbish thing that's ever been said. Hello, I'm Jimmy Carr. I should explain, I look like this because my dad is Irish and my mum is Roger Federer. I shouldn't joke, my granddad was an alcoholic. We used to call him Alco-Pops. A nurse finds a rectal thermometer in her pocket and thinks, some ***'s got my pen. He's interviewing people now. When I said I wanted Piers Morgan to get Parkinson's, I didn't mean his fucking job. You shaking your head at a Parkinson's joke? That's inappropriate. A friend of mine said, what rhymes with orange? I said, no, it doesn't. I often get asked after the show, the most common question after a show is, what's the most offensive joke? What's the worst joke? Now, I don't think I can tell you the most offensive joke. Because I think offence is taken, not given. That's not just an expression. That is how it tends to work. Different people take offence at different things. So I can't tell you what the most offensive joke is. But we could see. We could start gentle and work our way up and see at what stage, as an audience, you go, oh, for fuck's sake. Do you want to give it a go? Yeah! OK, well, let's start gently. Baby steps. All right, we'll start gentle. So you're in the pub with a mate, having a drink, talking about love and life, whatever. Out of nowhere, your mate goes, if you had to sleep with a man, who would it be? Well, I wouldn't, so it wouldn't be anyone. But if you had to, who would it be? Well, I wouldn't, so it wouldn't be anyone. But if you had to, though, well, I wouldn't, though, so no one. But if you had to, well, I wouldn't. But if you had to sleep with a man, who would it be? Well, I wouldn't. But if you had to, though, well, I wouldn't, though, so no one. But if you had to, well, I wouldn't. But if you had to, though, well, I wouldn't, though. But if you had to, though, well, I wouldn't. But if you had to, I wouldn't. If you had to, I wouldn't. If you had to sleep with a man, who would it be? I wouldn't. But if you had to, I wouldn't. But if you had to, though, well, I wouldn't, though. But if you had to, I wouldn't. If you had to, well, poof. Flooding. Flooding is pretty bad. There's been terrible flooding all over England recently. And I was watching the news. I saw a woman on the news in her flooded kitchen crying. And I couldn't help but think, crying's not helping. If anything, you're making matters worse. Very sad when Princess Diana died. And all London got was that shitty fountain. Still better than Paris, all they got was a slow down sign. No one that offended, but you should have heard the fuss when I suggested it on the Raw Variety. Do you remember where you were when you heard Diana died? Yeah. I was in Kensington Gardens thinking this place needs something. Are there any lesbians in? Does anyone enjoy smashing pasties? Huh? Are there any lesbians? There must be some lesbians, surely. What is there, a pool tournament on? People often say to me, how do you do this for a living? How do you get up in front of people you don't know and tell them jokes? It must be petrifying. Well, I'll tell you how it's done. This is the secret, and it works. If you're doing any kind of public speaking, this is how you do it. What you do is you imagine the people you're talking to are naked. It really works. A couple of quick things to remember. Firstly, don't tell the people you're talking to that's what you're doing. Because that can be a little bit creepy, can't it? And secondly, it doesn't work as well if you work in a kindergarten. Last time we had a white Christmas, I made snow angels. I skidded on the ice and took out 3 pedestrians. They're just jokes. That's a bad example. That last one happened, but most of them are just jokes. The Twin Towers was the best of the Lord of the Rings films. No, the Twin Towers, do you think it would have seemed less tragic if they hadn't been twins? I'll be honest with you, I feel more sorry for the people in the second tower than the people in the first tower. Do you? Because the people in the second tower, imagine that. Imagine you get into work one morning, the building next to yours, identical to yours, gets hit by a fucking plane. What's your first thought going to be? We dodged a bullet. Unlucky. 5 minutes later, oh, for fuck's sake. So why don't we have a heckle amnesty, a little 2-3 minutes where you can just fill your boots. If you've got something abusive to shout, have at it. Have you actually got Tourette's? That was so quick. Cunt, fuck bum. Peter Kay was sold out, so you had to come here. Yeah. Unlucky. I bet he wouldn't have called you a cunt. Unfortunately, I'm not Peter Kay. Cunt. Just a bit of advice for the younger men. If you are going to have sex with someone you don't know, if you're going to have sex with someone you don't know, always, always, always ask. Maybe things are a little bit different in Montreal. You're looking at me as if to say, well, you don't always ask. Some of these women are French-Canadian, they'll do fucking anything. That was a round of applause from the French-Canadian women that will do fucking everything. God love you. I got talking to a North African girl in her native language for hours. We just clicked. Anthropology jokes, everyone. Some comics lie to an audience. They pretend they recently broke up with a girl that she left for another guy. It's a total lie. The reason they tell that lie is to elicit sympathy from attractive female audience members, so then after the show, they can get talking to them, they've got that sympathy in, and they can try and pick them up and ultimately try and sleep with them. Rest assured, I would never do that because I think it would be disrespectful to the memory of my wife. I just need to be held. When's the comedy on? When's the comedy on? Really? What's your name, sir?
I can't remember.
What's your name?
David.
David? Yeah. What's your favourite colour, David?
Blue.
Blue, OK. Seems like the fairest way to deal with you, David. There are so many things I could say. Number between 1 and 8, David.
6.
6. OK. And you said to me, when's the comedy on? Well, it says, if you want my comeback, you'll have to scrape it off your mum's teeth. I recently had a proper conversation about pornography. Some of you may share her sentiment. She said to me, I don't get porn. I've never got porn. Why would I want to watch 2 people have sex? I said, 2? People? Yeah, you've lost me. I've been described, ladies and gentlemen, as a sex symbol, and that symbol is a question mark. Followed by a no. Kind of stuff you read about on the internet, if you ever read about sex on the internet, you'll see myths. Stuff that just isn't true. The best lubricant for anal sex is not tears. It's blood. Do you ever use pickup lines? Do you ever pick up a lady with a pickup line? You ever, yeah, of course. Oh, well, I'll give you a few for free. The best pickup line, as we all know, the best pickup line is, will you hold my drink while I go for a shit? That's the best one, because if a girl says, not a problem, she's a keeper. As far as I'm concerned, that line is right up there with, does this rag smell of chloroform to you? And of course, the evergreen, let's not turn this rape into a murder. Posh prick. Posh prick seems a bit harsh. What's your name, sir? Miles. Miles. And you think I might be a bit posh? All right, Miles, what's your favourite colour? Blue. Seems like the fairest way to deal with this. You get some B-L-U-E. Number between 1 and 8, Miles. 4. All right. Ooh. It says if you've come as a cunt, you've won. Bit of good news. Okay, you all seem fine so far. Let's go up a gear in terms of offence. Let's change tacks a little bit. People say dolphins are really intelligent. I think, yeah, but only compared to the retarded kids we got them swimming with. When a dog is on heat, it means it wants sex. That is my defence. It's a good area for offence, that, isn't it? The weird sexual things that other people do that you've heard about, you'd never dream of doing, but you've heard about. Felching is a good example. It's even a horrible word, felching. For those of you that don't know, felching is the retrieval of sperm from the anal canal via suction. I know. How mental's that? It's like fucking someone in the arse and then going, I take that back. No one offended by felching? OK, let's go up another gear. I've got a friend that recently had an abortion. But on the positive side, Slimmer of the Month. She got a badge and a round of applause. She can't believe her luck. Any more for any more? Who the fuck has a side parting? You're going to kick yourself when I tell you. Me. My girlfriend recently had a miscarriage, and it was doubly bad because I had to pay for it. But Frankie Boyle, you all know Frankie, yes? Now, Frankie got into a lot of trouble last year for doing a joke on stage that contained the word Down syndrome. And I think it's sad. I think it does nothing more than betray his ignorance and insensitivity. What a spastic. Why are they called Sunshine Variety Coaches when all the kids on board look the same? When a man changes his Facebook status from single to in a relationship, I think it should say, under new management. I don't like spending too much time with my girlfriend's family because her husband is getting suspicious. I find most young women make a lot of noise in the bedroom. I guess they're not expecting to see anyone at their window. I was in bed with a girl recently and she said to me, I want tonight to be magical. And it was. After we had sex, I disappeared. Some women worry about one breast being smaller than the other, but focus on the positive. One of them is bigger. And we call that one our favourite. People often ask me, people often say, have you ever had any gay experiences? Well, yes, Montreal, I have had gay experiences, and I don't mind talking about it. I've been in a shoe shop and said, I have to have them. I've described a cheesecake as to die for. But I've never had the gay experience where someone puts their cock in my mouth and or bum. And really, that is the one that counts. Doesn't count if you do it to them, does it? Does it? I thought it wasn't gay if you didn't push back. Come on, it's definitely not gay if you beat them up afterwards. I've got a question for everyone in here. Who here has had bad sex? Who's not saying because they're with the person they had the bad sex with? There's something you can get, gentlemen, if you have, or you perceive that you have, a small penis. It's called an Audi convertible. Have you got an Audi convertible there, sir? Have you got... You haven't. It's just she just gave you a look like something in the joke related to you. You're saying it definitely wasn't the car. My jokes occasionally get me into trouble. I got stopped speeding recently, and the officer came to the window of my car, as they do, and he said, "Do you know how fast you were going?" I said, "I'm sorry, officer, clearly too fast. My apologies." He said, "88 miles an hour." I said, "I was trying to get back to 1955. The most common superstition in the world today is a belief in horoscopes. And there's a name for people that believe in horoscopes. They're called single women. Well, that's all I've got time for. Thank you very much indeed. On the subject of abortions, a lot of people support a woman's right to choose. But I think, if I'm paying for it... I'm joking, I never pay. It doesn't cost anything to fall down the stairs, does it? Some of these girls, I swear, they think I'm made of coat hangers. Well, I got a few of you. Just a few of the hardcore, not offended by anything so far. Let's see if we can pick you off. I discovered the hard way, the worst way to start a benefit gig for abused children is with an apology. I said I was sorry, I don't see what the fuss was about. If men fall asleep directly after sex, why is it so difficult to catch a rapist? No one offended. Right, let's bring out the big guns. Hitler and Pol Pot. Unquestionably two of history's biggest cunts. But let's try and see the good in the bad. And both Hitler and Pol Pot managed to conduct an awful lot of medical research without hurting any animals. I put it to you, if you're not even a little bit offended, you haven't really understood that. This next joke is just a simple piece of wordplay. It's a little turn on a very common phrase, yeah? Just a little bit of wordplay. The joke isn't about what the joke's about, if you follow me. It's about the wordplay. Yeah, you know it's going to be offensive if it comes with a little warning before that. They say there's safety in numbers. Yeah? Tell that to 6 million Jews. Really, London? Really? A round of applause? Because to my mind, that should be the most offensive joke, not just in the show, but in the world ever. Because content-wise, that's a joke about the worst thing that's ever happened. The Holocaust. 6 million lives taken by an industrialised killing machine, the Nazis. That's the worst thing in human history, and that's a joke about that. But it's not that offensive a joke. It's not anti-Semitic, it's not racist, it doesn't hate anyone. I mean, it's in bad taste. I'll give you that. Because it's taking lightly something very serious, and that's like the definition of bad taste. I put my hand up to bad taste. Obviously, I'll put my hand up like that, not like that. That's only going to make things worse. Never high-five a rabbi. No, the most offensive joke in the world, if you judge it by offence caused, yeah, the kind of consequence of the joke, rather than the content of the joke, is actually a cartoon done 4 years ago, yeah? Caused more offence than any other joke in human history. It was of Muhammad with a bomb as a hat, done by a Danish man. There was protesting all over the Islamic world. They don't like iconography at the best of times. They certainly don't like people taking the piss. So there was protesting all over the Islamic world. Some of those protests turned into riots. 3 Danish embassies burnt to the ground and 10 people lost their lives in rioting. All because of a joke about somebody's imaginary friend. I'll be honest with you, I think some of the Islamic world slightly overreacted. I think the Iranian government slightly overreacted. They decided to boycott all Danish products. Now, I'm not sure they were doing a roaring trade in pornography, beer and bacon before. So that is, for what it's worth, the most offensive joke in the world ever. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to the show tonight. Thank you so much for buying the DVD if you're watching this at home. Just a quick thing before I go. The worst thing about being told you've got Alzheimer's is it doesn't just happen the once. That's lovely, Jimmy Carr. Thank you very much indeed. Cheers, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming to the show. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, young man. Thank you. Good luck with the face, man. Take care. Thank you.
If only Africa had more mosquito nets, then every year we could save millions of mosquitoes from dying needlessly of AIDS.